Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone, Season 3, Episode 20. It's called Showdown with Rance McGrew. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This episode is about an actor who plays a cowboy in a Western TV show who is transported seemingly first to the real Wild West, but it actually becomes clear as the episode goes on that it's not actually the real Wild West. It's more like... It's not even Wild West heaven, because the ghost, if you want to call him that, even refers to it as coming down here. So it's like a Wild West pocket dimension that's being created for them to have this meeting place. But it is on Earth as opposed to being in cowboy heaven. That's the preface of the episode.
It's the Twilight Zone.
It's the Twilight Zone.
That's where they are.
Is it? Oh, sure, yes. Is that just how we explain things on this show? It's like on the Flash, when anything doesn't make sense, you just say, Speed Force, bro. Ain't got to explain shit. This is just... It's Twilight Zone.
Yeah. I mean, Rod says it in his intro that they're filming on location in the Twilight Zone.
That's true. He does have that exact line of dialogue. Well, it's technically not dialogue, it's a monologue, but whatever. Anyway, so what I was surprised me about this episode to start off with was that it spends a good 8-9 minutes of the first half before we actually get to the real kind of premise, which is, oh, he's transported to meet a real, specifically the real Jesse James in this case, because that's who he's fighting in the episode they're trying to shoot. But it spends a lot of time setting up who this character is, what he's like on set, and we get a lot of that. And I'm not even necessarily complaining, because it was, for the most part, somewhat entertaining. What did you think of the episode overall, though? What did you feel about
I liked this episode a lot. I thought it was pretty fun. Like, they don't always nail comedy in the Twilight Zone, but I think a lot of the main characters' lines were genuinely pretty funny, and his reactions to his scenario, and even the stuff like in the real world was pretty funny. And I like the message of not messing with the legacies of who real people are in Hollywood. I thought that was kind of good. I think this is very much was it written by Rod Serling? Because it seems like he's just tired of actors and wrote this to punish them.
He's amongst the writers, but I don't know if that's just because he's always credited as creator of the show. Hold on, let me click on here.
This seems a very Rod Serling episode.
It's written by Rod Serling, but it's based on an idea by someone else. And it's got a story consultant. This actually has a lot of credits in the writing category compared to a normal Twilight Zone episode.
Interesting.
I think that's definitely there. I like that message too. I think the other message is a bit more direct to the character, which is because he's constantly complaining, asking for things. He's constantly asking for his stuntman to do little stunts that, I mean, you could really just do yourself. He's constantly... It sets him up as this guy who's... I guess he's kind of a diva, but it's sort of like, not full diva, but more just... He really doesn't appreciate how easy life is compared to what people actually had in the Wild West. And I think that's kind of part of it as well. I do think the ending, which goes for kind of a hijinksy kind of fun... that's all folks joke ending, doesn't really necessarily fit any of the messages. It's just a kind of fun ending because it's funny, as opposed to it adding to the story in any real way. But that first like 7-8 minutes where it's him accidentally breaking parts of the set because he throws his gun by accident. He tries to swirl his gun and it goes off into the mirror, or his character does this thing apparently where he smashes like the full bottle of whiskey and drinks from the broken, which is just stupid in and of itself.
I know, at one point he even pulls out a broken piece of glass from his mouth.
I mean, it's not.
I'm sure it's just sugar, but
yeah. I mean, even in the context of the episode, it is a sugar glass bottle. It's supposed to be fake, but it still just looks uncomfortable and stupid. Whereas, a real bottle would be... Well, you actually get to see what a real bottle is like later on when he tries to smash one in the quote unquote real West. But if he was actually having to pull out a piece of glass from a real piece of glass from his mouth, it would be bloody and horrific. He'd have to go straight to the hospital, and it would be very unpleasant.
Yeah.
But or even just the little thing where he wants ginger ale to be the fake whiskey, and like the other actor who's like the barman's like, yeah, but it has to look like whiskey. Ginger ale's not going to look like whiskey.
Right, but he needs, but that's what he wants, so that's what he gets. He's the star. Been nominated for 2 Emmys for this show. He has millions of fans. He's, he gets what he wants. Yeah, I thought he was pretty funny. I like that we spent a lot of time in the real world setting up who he was. At first, I thought maybe he was more of like a Shatner, just like super arrogant, walking in and, like I know how this would be, like a real cowboy would do it this way, but really, like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Nah, because
it's sort of giving me like Galaxy Quest vibes of you think you know what to do, but if you're really in that scenario, then you would be totally screwed.
I could see that. It was hard not to think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a little bit, like Leo's character.
Yeah, that's true.
I was getting a little bit of that, and I liked. Probably my favorite part of it was actually the reactions of everyone around him. It was, the director and some other, one maybe the assistant director had like a running bet of how quickly it would be till he breaks the window or something like that, and they'd be like handing each other cash or the other actor who's playing Jesse James like says, hey, like, because he's told that Jesse James is going to try and shoot the hero in the back, and he's like, no, I've actually done a lot of reading. I've prepared for the part, and everything I've read would suggest that Jesse James was never that dishonorable, that he would always, at least try and shoot you to your face. And
Right.
it tries to sort of bring this point, but Rance McGrew is like, no, you will be a coward and you will shoot me from behind, or you get recast.
There's only room for one hero in this show.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's egotistical, but he's also a complete ditz and a klutz. It's kind of a weird. It's like a mix of Shatner, Leo from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean. Yeah, that's good. I like that one. Not in the stunt wise, but like in accidental damage to everybody and everything around him wise.
Yeah, because the bartender tries to do that thing in the scene where he he slides the whiskey bottle to him, and he doesn't catch it, and it just goes off the edge of the bar stand, and it crashes, and he just starts because like he put a curve on that. He tried to make me miss that, and he tries to blame the other actor, and he's like, "What? I
don't know how to do that."
It's just a straight line. What do you want from me? And we even get, because this is the part I was really getting surprised, because it was taking so long to get to the premise, and I wasn't mad at it, but it went into a montage of him like constantly requesting his stunt double. Like it showed you, like,
that was a pretty funny scene, I thought.
It may even be the best part of that first chunk, honestly, is this little montage of him, like, he's almost getting punched by the other actor, and he's like, stuntman! And I'm like, first of all, I'm pretty sure this is not how it works, where the actor will just yell out stuntman whenever he decides that he wants a stuntman to do the part.
Right. Also, there is a stunt for being punched. Like, you don't actually have to replace yourself with a stuntman, because they don't actually make contact for punches.
Of course. Which is actually this is a little technical thing, but this is one of the reasons why changing the frame rate of film is a bad idea, because it would make it more obvious when there's no contact being made. So they'd have to like come up with new ways to do fake punches in movies. So
it's just real punches.
Yeah, it's just real punches. Tom Cruise could take a hit. He's fine.
It would just be a lot less action movies.
There'd be a lot of action, but there'd just be a lot less hand-to-hand combat. It would be more. I don't know. There'd be more movies with just guns, but I feel like that's maybe what it would turn into.
It'd be like watching a basketball game where everyone is not allowed to touch each other.
It would be
no contact.
Joe, it all just occurred to me that there's a lot of joke potential of social distancing in basketball could go hand in hand here. It's never occurred to me.
Yeah.
No touching. Now it just has to be 6 feet apart, so they're all like, oh. Which I suppose would raise the question: how do you get the ball off the other player if you can't get within 6 feet or whatever?
It's just gonna become a hockey game.
What do you call that stupid sport? That some lacrosse, yes. Which I only know from American Pie. That's where I know lacrosse from. It's not a
My
thing.
My college had a lacrosse team that was important, I guess. I never went to a game or cared about it.
Yeah, so this is. I mean, it's not just an American thing. The name definitely comes from somewhere that's not America. It sounds very French, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a dumb American thing that people do at colleges and high schools. But anyway, I'm just imagining that with basketball, just big nets, because it's a basketball.
Imagine LeBron James just playing lacrosse out, and I don't think so.
Oh dear. That was a weird tangent to go on. So so all this stuff's entertaining. This is the thing. Like, I had fun with this opening, like 8 minutes, whatever it was.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think he was really funny, like genuinely. He was a good actor. He really played the comedy up well. He played the diva element well. I mean, right away, like the scene is really well set where you see like two cowboys talking about like where this guy is, and all of a sudden like a car just enters the scene of this old western town. You're like, okay, he shows up wearing sunglasses and the horns on the front of his grill.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention the dialogue. So these two cowboys walk out of the saloon, and their dialogue is very intentionally written to make it sound like they're in the Old West, but they're actually speaking, like, it works in modern context where they say, oh, he knows he's being shot today, which means he's going to be on camera. So then the car comes speeding around and it's like, wait, what's happening? This is some sort of weird, like, the village moment.
Right. I thought that was going to be the opening, is that, I don't know, we had like a time traveler or something.
If anything, I mean, honestly, if I have a complaint about the episode, because it's not a perfect episode, like I said, the ending's a little bit just kind of hijinksy fun, and it's fine on its own, but it doesn't really add much to the episode. It's that I don't think the actual part where he's with the real Jesse James is as good as the opening part, and therefore I think ultimately it kind of feels a little like, instead of escalating to be better like it should do, it just kind of was like, oh, this part's okay and I get what they're doing, but it's not as fun as the opening.
Yeah, I mean, the character that plays the real Jesse James is intimidating, like physically, but not as much like in the scene with him. To where like he is playing scared and he's doing a good job. Like, you know, someone's asking where the sheriff is and he's like, oh, it probably went that way or something. Like, it was still pretty funny. But for the most part, like the Jesse James guy wasn't as, I don't know, it wasn't as intimidating. It wasn't like a Westworld scenario where all of a sudden the danger is real as much as I would like to have it been.
Yeah, I think part of it is kind of because it takes a little bit of time to get to what, because ultimately it becomes clear that this is the real Jesse James, but he's aware that he's an actor on a TV show, because it becomes about, oh, you're disrespecting me and all my fellow, you know, outlaws and cowboys and whatever from the old days. He describes like you defeated Billy the Kid by like jumping off an 800-foot cliff onto his horse. Just ridiculous. Yeah, and then of course he like makes him look like a fool because he can't smash the bottle properly, he can't roll tobacco properly. Like, all these little things to sort of point out that he's just not actually prepared for this, and then he's like, we're going to go outside and we're going to you know, draw, and I'm going to shoot you, and he's like, oh, I'll see you tomorrow then, and he tries to shake his hands like, no, we'll do it right now, get pacing. Like, it's time to go. And this is where I think, compared to Galaxy Quest, is where it falls flat a little bit, because I'm like, everything in Galaxy Quest is so well thought out, like the way they interact with everything that's the real stuff is so good, whereas here I think this is where it's like, oh, like conceptually they're onto something, but it doesn't necessarily live up to the potential of what this could be. Do you think this was written by a bunch of people who were just fed up with actors who are divas? It wouldn't surprise me. It would be surprised. I mean, not so much that Rod was tired of all actors, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's an actor who was on an episode in like season 2 that he had a really bad time with, that he hated. There was, some inspiration. Yeah, but there was just one specific actor, maybe a couple of specific actors, who he's like, oh no, I'm going to adapt this little story idea because maybe it was Shatner. He was in season 2. Yeah, but Shatner comes back though, so he must have not hated working with him. Or maybe he just knew deep down that Shatner was the best. Unless the studio were like, no, we want that Shatner back. There's great things in his future. There's great. We want the public to recognize him. There's great things on the frontier for that man. The final frontier. Yeah, see. Yeah, so that stuff's fun. The reason why the ending's a bit weird to me is that they're almost going to have to stand off, and he fumbles his gun, and he just starts begging. He's like, please, Jesse James, please don't do this. I'll do anything for you, anything you want. Just, you know, don't. I'm not a real cowboy. I'm not this. I'm not that. And he doesn't say what he wants, but he's like, yeah, you've got a deal, right? I don't know what I want yet, but yes, you'll do something for me, and this will be the end of it, and we'll send you back. And he ends up back in the bar, and they're, you know, going to try to continue shooting the scene. But then there's like a PA comes in and is like, hey, there's someone out here to see Mr. McGrew. Is it right now? He's like, yeah, right now. He's like, oh, that'll be a minute. And we go outside, and there's the real Jesse James, but he's in like a Hawaiian shirt, and he's like an agent now or something. But he still knows who he is.
He's his manager.
Yeah, and he's like, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to go back in there because Jesse James would never be shooting someone in the back. So this is what's going to happen. You're going to go in there and you're going to get beat. He's going to throw you through that window.
And escape.
Yes. And then we'll talk about next week's scene, and that's how the episode ends, with them driving off. And he's like, that's a script for next week, and you're going to do this, you're going to change that, and you're going to do all these things. It's an amusing hijinksy ending, but it didn't really feel like it put a bow on the point of the episode to me. It just kind of felt like, oh, this is a funny kind of ending.
Right. I don't know how bothered I am about like Hollywood taking dramatic licenses in order to use people who really exist in order to like elevate another person's character or something in a show or a film. You know, I think it's okay to change things around a little bit. It doesn't have to be entirely accurate. Most people should not be getting history lessons from their movies unless a movie is like claiming to be historically accurate, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's usually pretty clear when you watch something that feels maybe not 100% accurate, but feels like it wants to present itself as relatively authentic, and so that it maybe wants to encourage you to go seek out the truth and go seek out more information. And then there's other times where, no, they're just using a famous name because you'll recognize the name and that's all it is. Like, when I watched Chernobyl, it might not be pinpoint accurate on everything, but it clearly is trying to educate us as well as be tense and experience. But when I'm watching, say, was something else with the nuclear thing in it. When I'm watching, I don't know, otherwise say Godzilla. It's too easy. Something else with a meltdown. I don't know. But it's clear that not everything else is trying to be educational, and that's okay. But, you know.
Yeah, if it's just like a fun, pulpy, like, show about a TV sheriff that takes on all the famous shooters from history, like, or gunsmiths from gunslingers. I don't know what they are.
Gunslingers, that sounds right.
Yeah, like, what, you know, whatever. It's pulp, it's fun. It doesn't really bother me, but I understand the message, like if Hollywood's going to do it, they should be more respectful and get it right. But I think that's more if you're just like claiming that your movie is historically accurate. Like Apocalypto, I think, is a pretty famously terrible retelling of that time period. Where like conquistadors show up during the Mayans, and I don't know, apparently that it's like 600 years apart or something with the two events that are depicted in the film as occurring at the same time. But you know, it's clearly written by history fans rather than scholars but, who got some things wrong. But it makes for a fun film still. And yeah, people who really like it maybe would want to study like the Mayans or the Incas and learn the truth.
Yeah.
And that's all right too.
I think that's why I gravitate more towards the central idea of the episode being about this character learning, like, just how privileged he is to live in the time period he's in compared to the Old West. Because that's a personal thing that I think lands no matter what. Because I agree, I don't agree with, like I think it's fine to change things. I think it's fine to maybe make fun of even certain characters from history depending on who they are. Like, is anyone really going to be upset if we make Hitler the butt of a joke in something? No, we're fine with it.
No?
Go for it.
I really enjoy Inglourious Bastards. And that is not correct. That's not accurate.
You just had
some things are.
Get a second Tarantino movie reference into this, didn't you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I enjoy both those films very much. They're not my favorite Tarantino film. That's okay.
Well, it does happen to be a Western, though, technically.
Yeah. But The Hateful Eight doesn't really apply here.
No. No. It's an okay episode, though. I mean, like, it was a little bit better than what I thought the average rating IMDb suggested to me. I thought it was a bit more fun than that, if not a special.
What's it rated?
6.4.
Oh, that's pretty low, actually. Yeah. So I think it's better, way better than that.
Yeah, it's a fun episode.
It's definitely a fun episode.
It's not like a super important episode. It's not like a special episode, or maybe even all that memorable. Once we get to the end of the season, talk about the best ones. But it's not bad. It's just a fun time. I wasn't mad watching this. So at the end, the only thing I really remember Rod saying was something about fondly remembering Your school days?
I think I know this one. It's called
Okay.
Kick the Can, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a Cocoon film episode.
Oh, okay.
Which was a movie we were supposed to do on the Ace and then didn't get to it because it turns out it's not available anywhere to watch.
Well, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So this is the description on IMDb. An old man living in a rest home thinks he's found the secret of youth in children's games.
Yeah.
Is this going to be like a more nostalgic, happy version of that one with the actor or the guy with the radio who was here in the old baseball game?
I hope so. Although I really like how dark that episode got.
Yeah, there was a nice bittersweet kind of tinge to that one that felt a bit more.
But I think this one is a more famous one.
That felt a bit more daring by doing that. But yeah, I mean, I've not seen this one, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
But so we have some old actors in the next one. So
All right.
look forward to that.
Maybe some of them are in Star Trek. I didn't check this one. I didn't check anything.
But hey, there you go. That's what's coming up next time. So you can, of course, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments. Please do like and subscribe. Those are all the things that YouTube really cares about and the algorithm cares about and will help us be more successful. So please do click on those buttons. Tara, would you like to tell them about the Patreons?
Yeah, if you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MilefestTV. And if you donate as little as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes for other shows we do, including The Ace, which is our science fiction movie review show. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these Twilight Zone reviews 1 week early. Some other shows you get a week early. So head on over and check that out. Thank you.
There you go. Otherwise, get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. But that is us, so thank you. We'll see you next time. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.